Good afternoon from the GoLocal Live Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center here in a nice sunny Providence. Happy with that. As you know, I always compliment on the weather or talk about the weather at the beginning of each segment, and today I'm happy to say that it's sunny again. As promised, and we highlighted this last week, we have Fall River dining and shopping to talk about today. A lot of people gave feedback of different areas, different regions, different types of cuisine they'd like to see, and Fall River was one of the biggest ones, and I'm happy to say that I've got a nice familiarization with Fall River. In full disclosure, I was able to work with the city last year and work with Mayor Carrera there and work on the branding campaign. So I spent a lot of time in Fall River working on that marketing and branding campaign for the city and have been to all of these destinations, all of these restaurants that I have joining me today. So the guest that I have is Victor's coming in from Sagres, a restaurant that's been around a very long time, very traditional. So I'm really excited to talk with him. I've got Andy coming in, and Andy opened up, I want to say 2016 if I remember correctly, the Abbey Grill, which is in a beautiful spot, and he's an Italian restaurant in Fall River, which is even better. And then Michael, who's actually going to be coming in shortly. He is with Portugali Marketplace. Now, Michael and I serve together on the committee, so I have a really good relationship with Michael. I've known him a long time, so I'm excited to have him here with me as well. And then my final guest today is going to be Chef Chris, who's coming in from Mesa 21. Now, if you saw the social media posts I had on there, and I know a lot of you were asking questions about their menu, it's more of an eclectic menu, and we're going to have Chris talk about that. He's got some pizzas, he's got the Portuguese, he's got a lot of great stuff going on there as well. So each of these guests have got a unique perspective. I'm sure we're going to learn a lot. We're definitely going to smell some amazing dishes and hopefully taste some great wine, which I love to do. And then at the end, I'll talk about a little bit of the things that are coming up in the weekend, and you're also going to see me tomorrow. I'll highlight that at the end of the segment as well. Getting started, let me welcome in Victor Da Silva, who's the owner of Sagres. And he's got another dish to bring in. Look at this. Beautiful. My gosh. All right. We're not going to go hungry today with you here. Oh, thank you, Taylor. Thank you for making the time to come in. Really glad to have you.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Absolutely. So, reputation-wise, and I'm going to tell you right now, the food is already driving me crazy with the aromas here. So, before we get into the reputation and the great history and the things you got going on, tell us a little bit about what you brought here today.
I brought three very traditional dishes. One, it's relatively new that we've been making. This one here, which is the grilled octopus. This is something that we started a few years ago, and it's been incredible how much of a demand it is for the dish, even though it's not on the menu. So really? I figured I'd bring it in. It's incredible. We have people from all over, everywhere, come in just eat that dish right there. It's really, really good. This is an old staple of the restaurant. It's very popular in Portugal because Portuguese food, we use, just like the Italians, a lot of salted cod, which is dried codfish. And that happens to be one of those. It's shredded salted cod. It has to be left in water so the salt comes out, and you cook it with olive oil, little garlic, some parsnips, and this is a little bit of egg on top that you see the yellow.
All right.
And this is something that my father introduced in 1976, which is one of the most popular dishes probably in all of the Portuguese restaurants. It's called pork and little necks, alentejano. Alentejano is a province in the southern Portugal, so it's named after that. It's right above Algarve. If you ever been to Portugal, it's Alentejo. So it's known from that region, and this was introduced by my father.
Right.
In 1976 when he came over, and if you go to any restaurants in Portuguese restaurants anywhere, you will see this dish on the menu.
So that's kind of a great segue, and Victor and I had the opportunity obviously to talk before this, and Sagres has been around an incredibly long time. I mean, you're more than a milestone. You're more than any of these restaurants. It's a big deal to get there. So you've set that milestone for the length of time, and it was founded by your father.
Yeah, exactly.
And you mentioned that this was a dish that was from that region, and I want to definitely talk about the regions and the authenticity and traditions. But tell us a little bit about how it was founded, and a little bit about your dad, if you don't mind.
Yes, my father came over in 1975, which is right after the revolution in Portugal in '74. We used to have a fascist regime was taking over, got their independence, and things at the time were not very good, because you can imagine when the government gets overthrown, there's a lot of turmoil, everybody's on strike. The point is, he made it over here, and he actually started working in a restaurant that came here to go work in a coachman, which has been around for a long time in Tiverton. It's been closed for a long time also. But then after a couple of months, there was a restaurant opening in Fall River, which at the time there were none. So he went into work, and then he went up, keep buying the restaurant like a couple of months in.
Really? Just a couple of months in. Now, your father also has this distinguished title to go with him. He's a master chef.
Yeah, my father was one of the top chefs in Portugal at the time when he came over. He only worked in big hotels. It was all the top hotels in Portugal. He was, as a matter of fact, I have this funny story. Right before he left, he was offered the position for the Casino Estoril, which is a very popular casino in Europe, and he was offered the head chef position there, but he had already made the decision to come here. So just to give an idea, pretty much how big of a chef and a cook he was.
Yeah, and I mean, talk about authentic, and you mentioned how this is some of the popular dishes, but
Right.
one of the things that was inspiring to me, besides the wine list, because everybody knows I'm a wine drinker, is that the authenticity and the traditions that are there, going back to the 70s, and you're saying how your father
Yes.
came over with his family, is that, you know, Portuguese food is a lot like other nationalities where it varies by the region.
Right.
You know, the type of
Right.
stuff. So you guys stay, it seems very true to the specific region
Right.
that you are from, right?
Right. Right. I mean, our cooking, our menu is basically a sample of every region because, and first of all, we also have a lot of different specials every day on the menu.
Right.
But the menu itself, the staple, to be honest, it's pretty much what it started a long time ago. We haven't changed much from it because we wanted to continue. What we have done is change. We do a lot of different specials during the day, which we introduce a lot of new stuff. As far as the region, as you know, Portugal, the number one food, I guess we can say we eat in Portugal is fish.
Right.
This is what we're known for. Very healthy fish, various ways to cook, but most of the way we cook our fish, it's grilled. And the other thing is we tend to do a lot of fish that's fillets, which doesn't have any bones, which is what the majority of people here in the United States would prefer.
Right, it's enjoyable. That's,
Yes.
that's more the style
Right.
of this. So segueing into the wine list and the setup is that the restaurant's recently had some renovations in the last couple of years.
Yes.
And you introduced, the bar is beautiful. And
Right.
I mean, even if you go on their website, you see the bottles displayed, which
Right.
you have there.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about your beverage program, because you brought a bottle of wine here today. So what'd you bring here today?
This is also from, believe it or not, from the same region, Alentejo. Alentejo makes very, very, very good wines in southern Portugal. It's, I think Portugal exports more of the Douro, which is where all the port region is. They've turned
Yep.
a lot into, it used to be a port, but now it's a lot of red wines. They're making great wines. But this happens to be from the south, again, Alentejo. It's a
Okay.
dry,
We're gonna
I'll
have to
pour
try
you a
it.
little
Yeah,
bit,
we're
I'm
gonna have
sorry.
to try that. No. We're gonna try. So port has been a big thing of mine. You've heard me talk about port a lot over various episodes. So obviously I like Portuguese wines as well as port.
Yes.
Cheers, Victor. Thank you for making it in today and joining me.
It's my pleasure. Once again, thank you very much for inviting me.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that. That is absolutely delicious.
Portuguese wines are very full-bodied. It needs a little bit to breathe.
Yeah,
It's a
but it's
great wine.
beautiful. Absolutely beautiful wine. So in the renovations and the things that you did over
Right.
the last couple of years, the restaurant's had this progression obviously over the 70s.
Right.
And you added something that's become rather popular. You added an event space.
Yes, we first of all have to explain what happened to
course,
the
that's
restaurant.
yeah.
We had been in the same building for 40, 30, almost 40 years because we had a fire which happened 4.5 years ago. We were closed for 2 years, and we had to build a brand new building. When we were able to build a brand new building, it's a beautiful building, but it gave us an opportunity to be able to do a second floor where we can have functions now, which is very important. And we didn't finish when we opened because, as you understand, it's not very easy to get the building like that open right away with everything going.
Mm-hmm.
So the plan was to open the first floor, which is when you come in, you see the beautiful lounge in the back, plus the dining room.
Right.
And the second floor is a beautiful function room, which we opened about 6 months ago.
So that's really, 6 months is brand new. And in
Right.
Fall River, to be able to have another event space is a great thing because you
Right.
guys are drawing more and more people in. What's the capacity on the function room?
We have 2 rooms. We have one room that's for 125. It's for 145, but we try to get 125 the most. And we have a smaller room, which is perfect for small gatherings. It takes about 30, 35.
So 2 different rooms.
Yes.
That's perfect.
We have the kitchen on the second floor, which makes it a lot easier for us now.
Oh, absolutely, to service the events, that's
Yes.
fantastic. And from a draw standpoint, and this is one of the things I was getting a lot of questions, or not questions, a lot of compliments, I should say, on my instant messaging of people saying that when they come to visit Massachusetts or Rhode Island, they make you guys one of the stops to come over to see.
Thank
Your draw is from all over the place, it's not.
Yes, a lot of it has to do with we had a lot of big articles about the restaurant on the old restaurant. We had on the Financial Times of London, which is a
Yeah.
We had a big article on American Airlines, an in-flight magazine, one of those when you sit on the plane, you open a magazine, and we have the itinerary to visit Boston. One of the places was Fall River. The article was
Yeah.
the itinerary where to go when you visit Boston. One of them was Fall River, and it happened. And it was a big article about the restaurant. But besides that, we've also had a lot of them. And the other thing, I think it's because we've been in business for so long, and I think it just helps to grow and create more.
Yeah, it's almost like you've got different generations now that are coming over to you.
Yes, I mean, yeah, it's very true. One thing I noticed now, it's funny, like when I finished college, I started working there, I was like 20-some years old. I'm not going to see my age. But I see all these adults now, they used to come in with their parents when they were young, and it's really, truly magnificent. It's incredible. It's an incredible feeling.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's kudos to you guys because you've kept that reputation and that tradition going for that length of time.
Right.
I mean, some of the messages I had was from friends of mine that are in New York, and they said,
Yeah,
when we're in Fall River, we go to there.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the one when the Financial Times, I had people like a lot of writers from Washington Post, New York, because I guess all the writers know the reason. Actually, the article wasn't about the restaurant. It was to interview someone there, but he loved the restaurant so much, and even put the whole menu on the article. So it's stuff like that. It's what it is really. To be honest with you, it's a lot. It's just all the work that we put in. I mean, I'm there. Me and my brother were there every day. We only close on Mondays, and we're there every day. So you have to put in a lot of time and effort.
The restaurant business is definitely all-consuming, for sure.
It's very, 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 very demanding.
It's all-consuming. And from a Rhode Island standpoint, I mean, and I know we cover beyond Rhode Island, but a lot of you were mentioning, okay, this is very quick, it's easy to get to.
Right.
I have a lot of friends that go there. I want to give a shout out to Brian and Brian Sawyer, and he was making a lot of recommendations for me and giving comments on it. So a lot of people were saying that it's, I mean, not just from Providence, but other parts of Rhode Island. If you're in Tiverton or if you're down in that area, Little Compton, to get over to you, it's very quick and easy.
Yes, now with the highway, all the ramps are finished. It's very easy to get there.
So if you had to think back, and I know your father started this, and you said you came over when you were 27, would you have thought that you would be where you're at today and that Fall River as a city would be where it's at today?
No, I have to, I'm sorry, correct. I was 12 years old when I came here. I was 12.
Well, yeah, when you came, but at the restaurant, you said you went back to the restaurant when you were 20.
I was right after college, yes.
Yeah. So would you think that Fall River would be where it's at today as this dining destination and continuing to evolve? I mean, you've been there a long time.
I think yes, we've been. And the reason why we decided to build there, we had a lot of people telling us we should build somewhere else because, why are you going to make this investment in the middle of Columbia Street? And why? I mean, everyone was like, you should be building somewhere else. You do a lot more and this and that and the parking and all that. But no, we made a commitment because it was important for us to build in Fall River because this is where I have to say I grew up, and I know that for the area we built, including the church and everyone, it was very important to build there because I think the street and you could see without the restaurant, that area was not the same. People really wanted us, and we did it because it wasn't just because of us, but I think it was important for the city. As far as the city, yeah, there's a lot of potential in the city, but we've been talking about that potential for years. So we have to do. I know we do our end. We work hard. We there, and just try to do the best we can.
And I think that again, to your credit, is I think your length of time, your commitment to it, has helped others, like some of these other guests I have come in, want to continue to evolve and be a part of Fall River. And your current mayor there has done a tremendous amount to bring the city's image up as
There's
well.
no doubt about that. He's always trying to do something to bring more into the city recognition because we need it. Fall River is an old textile city, as we know, and I think in some ways we can grow on that. Yeah. We can't get away from what we were once. We have to build on it, I think.
No, and the city's definitely come a long way. And again, I think to all of you guys that are joining me today, it's a credit to you of what you evolved and made Fall River to be. And like I said, a short drive from Providence and even shorter drive from other parts of Rhode Island. So again, congratulations to you guys, and wish you continued success on it. And thank you for making the time to join us today.
I just want to say
also something. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. First of all, it's a pleasure. I just want to say thank you. I know we're talking about we've been in business for all these years and all of it. More important than anything is that our clients, our customers, our friends, they're the reason why we built the restaurant, and they're the reason why the restaurant is what it is. So I just want to make that known. Without the people, nothing works.
Well, and and it's vice versa. Is that from the things that I've heard and from my seeing there is that your clientele appreciate you. And they appreciate the fact that you've continued this tradition the way that you have. So they appreciate you thanking them, and I'm positive that they would thank you as well.
Thank you very much.
So
Thanks for having me once again.
And wonderful dishes. So I look forward to coming to see you and sitting down and enjoying more wine over there.
And I'll drink a little more.
Yeah, sit with me and drink
pleasure.
some more.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. All right, so Taylor's going to help you, and Christina. Christina's here now.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Beautiful. They're going to help you carry some of this out. The wine's not going anywhere. I'll finish this in a little bit.
I don't know. You want to keep the food? You can keep the food because
They'll work with you out there when you get there. I'm sure somebody will
Okay.
eat some of this good stuff. All right. So it's kind of important what Victor added at the end there about, the customers make the restaurant. And we talk about this in Rhode Island restaurants all the time, that we build up these restaurants and we help them get to where they're at, but at the same time, it is an all-consuming business, so we appreciate the fact that they're there. So my next guest I want to bring in, and he's actually a Rhode Islander, so it'd be fun to talk to him about his passion and what he's done in Fall River. I'd like to bring in Andy Lombardi. And Andy is with, look at this, and Andy's got the Abbey Grill. Whoa, look at this. See, everybody knows I'm an Italian, so this is good for me no matter what. Beautiful. Oh, thank you, Taylor. Bring up my glass over here. Nothing wrong with that. How are you, sir?
Good.
Good to see
How are
you.
Rick?
So I got to see Andy he was finishing construction when I was in and out of Fall River all the time. And it was inspiring beyond belief to see the space that you're transforming. And you've done an amazing amount of work there. So tell us first, before we get into this amazing food, tell us kind of the background and the story as to how you chose to go and take the space and make it into the Abbey Grill.
Well, I have a property already in Fall River, and it's a beautiful historic place. And I would always visit the Abbey Grill when it was open. Previously, it was a restaurant and event space, and closed down in 2009. So when I ever heard it closed down, I was like, wow, that's such a travesty for Fall River because it's such a beautiful building. And I was in touch with a lot of the historic people there that served on some boards and were part of the historic commission there. And they recommended that I possibly look at the Abbey, and I kept on saying, no, I don't think I'm going to, that needs a lot of work, So, the more I looked at it, the more I kind of talked myself into it, and here we are.
And the history behind this building, like I put out teasers out there to say that there is a little bit of the infamous or famous Lizzie Borden,
Yes.
Some history associated with that. So tell us a little
Yes.
bit about the history of the property.
It's the former Lizzie Borden church. So it was her church. It's an incredible Victorian structure. It actually has two buildings. One is the smaller building, which we have open now, which holds about 240 people for events.
Right.
We try not to get up to that number because it really is packed out.
Right.
But we do a lot of weddings and showers, bridal showers, christenings, a lot of great events there. It's an amazing building that, Fall River at one time was the richest community in America.
Right.
In the 1860s and 70s.
Yeah.
So they built all these beautiful buildings, and it's just amazing that a lot of them still exist.
And this structure, so this is the building that you're now was the former, was it the rectory?
Yes,
or
the
house?
rectory part, and the other building is like twice the size.
And that's the actual church.
Yes,
part
we're
of it.
working on that as we speak.
So, and we're going to definitely come back to that because that's an amazing thing in and of itself. But when you go into the Abbey Grill, it's very airy, very open, beautiful windows, the setup's beautiful. And I mean, one of the times that I was there with a full, large group of people was the night that we did the branding launch, and we sat upstairs
Yes.
with the mayor, Mayor Carrera.
Yes.
And the food that come out, again, talking about wine lists and such, you guys have really spent a lot of time and energy, and you have a dynamic chef.
Chef is incredible. He's one of the best around. He used to own in Seekonk, it was called Frankie's, and it had a huge following. And he sold it, and then he's been a chef at a couple of different restaurants, and he was in retirement and came out of retirement just so he could work at this lovely building.
Well, thank you, Chef, for coming out of retirement. We'll give you that shout out because you've done great things over there.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the style of food and we are going to come back to that building, I'm not forgetting, but let's talk a little bit about the style of food because your food in Fall River is kind of unique.
It's
for Fall
unique.
River.
It's
so
unique.
let's talk a little bit about the food.
Not Providence, but Fall River.
Hey, and cheers to you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
So tell us what you brought today, and then we'll get to the menu.
Frutta di mare. It's obviously means scallops, shrimp and calamari
Beautiful.
over a bed of linguine. And then this is an appetizer, bruschetta appetizer.
My God, that's a beautiful bruschetta.
It's an amazing tasting bruschetta appetizer. And then this is a chicken francaise, which I've never tasted any chicken francaise sauce quite like
I
this.
know the aromas on this is driving me crazy.
This is the mayor's favorite, by the way.
This is the mayor's favorite right there. And I have to tell you, I mean, if you're looking at this bruschetta, that is a really beautiful sized piece of bruschetta. That's a thick bread that he's got that on there, and it looks awesome.
It's delicious.
So when you were looking at it and you were taking it over, and you were deciding that you were going to carry, because you could have changed the name, you could have done a lot of different things if you had wanted to, what made you decide to go with the Italian style menu, the Italian tradition?
You know, it's a type of food that I'm comfortable with, and I know, and it, you know, finding Chef Ricamo was a godsend, because his food is just so good, you know, and I just love Italian food, and I think, you know, we draw from outside of Fall River already.
Right, exactly.
Westport, Portsmouth, Newport, Dartmouth,
Yeah.
Little Compton, Tiverton.
Tiverton, yeah. And I think
So-
that's a really good point, is that, you know, there's parts of Rhode Island to get to, you have to drive into Massachusetts and back into Rhode Island. So it's a good point to understand about the proximity of Fall River and where it is and what you serve. And you're a Rhode Islander that's,
Yes.
you know, has his businesses thriving and doing well in Fall River.
Yes.
And I think, you know, from an outsider's perspective, and I could say this as a guest going there and being able to have the conversation with you before you were even able to open, is that it's great that you opened an Italian concept in the city of Fall River. And I think
Yes.
that people in those outskirts areas that you just mentioned appreciate that, because now they got the best of both worlds. They know they can go to Sagres or, you know, Messa 21 in their traditional Portuguese places, but then have Italian the next night.
Right.
And your chef has excelled at this menu. So
Yes.
I think you did well with that. Now, from the event side of the space, the current building that you're in now,
Yes.
can, like you said, house events up to a certain number.
Yes.
You've got the upstairs dining room, right?
Yeah, we have a private function room as well
Yeah.
that holds up to 75 people upstairs.
Upstairs.
So, you know, we could have the restaurant open and have a private function there going at the same time.
And you kept the decor in the building that you're in now very true to the original
We
structure.
did, we did. I mean, the building is just amazing. I mean, the previous owner was amazing. He had vision, Chef George Caros, and he was one of the first people to bring, you know, the open kitchen concept. It has an open kitchen
Right.
concept, but that was, I think, like in the mid-90s.
That we did that, yeah.
Not many open kitchens were around.
Yeah, he was kind of pioneer to
Yeah,
get
he
started,
was,
right?
and you know, he had a culinary institute, and it was a great facility. It's just a shame that it fell on hard times.
So someone that I got an instant message saying about that, saying, "Oh my God, I know exactly what that is, because it used to be a culinary institute."
Yes,
That was in the main church building, right? That was there.
I think they did both.
They both buildings that they used to?
Yeah, they used both.
So
Yeah.
you've undertaken I mean, you own the entire property, but you've undertaken this massive project of the church building itself.
Yes.
To get in there. Can you tell us a little bit about what your vision is for that?
Yeah, we anticipate within the next year and a half becoming open there. And we can house up to 400, 350 people for a function. So Fall River has to go outside of Fall River to have any function
Right.
that size.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll be a great thing for the area.
Do you envision that people will be able to do, you know, if talking about a wedding, would they be able to do a ceremony there? Is it going to have that kind of
Absolutely.
setup to be
Yeah,
able
yeah,
to do
we
that?
do ceremonies now.
You do?
And,
Okay.
yeah, and the reception at the same time.
Because again,
Yeah.
you've taken this commitment to these buildings of really keeping up and restoring them to
Yes.
some original
Yes.
grandeur, which and
Yes.
I remember when I was there, you were showing me, I think it was a door that was going into the church that had been vandalized at one point, and you were working
Yeah.
to put original woods back on there and
Correct.
doing stuff. That,
Right, yeah.
right? And it was, and I just remember that because thinking about the restoration, that it's hard to find those things to keep it back up.
It
that way.
is. It's kind of it's hard to find artists that actually do like stained glass repair and
Right.
slate roof repairs and masons that know how to work on these type of buildings.
Now-
It's an art.
Now, there was between the two buildings, if I recall correctly, there was a courtyard, right? Like a
There
little
is.
courtyard.
There's still a courtyard.
There's still a courtyard, okay.
And we have some plans for that this spring.
That's what I was going to ask you, because that was
Yes.
that was a beautiful little piece there. I mean, for outdoor dining or a
Yes.
ceremony or an event there.
Yes, we have some plans for that. Some outdoor fresco dining there. So we're encouraged about that happening in the late spring. So
So this
maybe
is
some
again,
live music.
Oh, that'd be
Yeah.
that's phenomenal, especially in
Yeah.
that area. And
Yeah.
this is if you're familiar with the Fall River area, this is really close to Government Center. So it's very. I mean, I used to walk over from Government Center to get over to you.
Yes.
Really in the heart of the city of Fall River in there. And you can't miss the steeple. So it's like you see the steeple from almost anywhere
Yes.
of where the church is to come in.
Yes.
But, you know, and it was it 2016 you started opening there? Or
Yes.
Was it? Okay.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's been a really big undertaking. The Abbey Grill, if you go just to the website to see it, you're going to be impressed, especially with the pictures alone with what you see here today. But there's a lot of opportunity, like I said, and Andy's done a great job of coming in there. Now, is there another property in Rhode Island you still have?
Yeah, we have a historic bed and breakfast, the Edgewood Manor. We've been at that for over 20 years, and we do weddings there and functions and overnight accommodations, and we've been doing that for a long time.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Now, when you get to in the next, year to 18 months, you said, in finishing the church building and
Yeah.
being able to have events there and that kind of thing, will it be of a similar style? Will your chef and you guys will handle the food? Is that the plans?
That is the plan at the moment, yes.
Because from that perspective, again, of inserting this style of a menu into events is going to be another unique thing.
Yes, we plan on hiring more staff, and it already has another kitchen in that building already.
That's right, because when
Yeah,
the
it
Institute
was already
that's
there,
right.
so we just have to upgrade it, and we'll be ready to go.
So have you had, and I asked this because the amount of people that were messaging me saying that they had a memory of one form or another, whether it was the Culinary Institute. Have you had a lot of historical feedback from the Historical Society or people that live there that have different memories of the building and different things?
Yeah, almost every week
Yeah.
we get people that come in. I got married here, I had a christening here, I had a shower here, anniversary dinners.
Right.
Every week we have people come in, and people are booking, people that have gotten married, they're booking their christenings there now, and having their events there. So we're actually still getting that good karma, that good
Right.
feedback that the building had, and all these events that they did and hosted. It's just an amazing spot.
And it adds a special touch to it, and now you're doing it all over again for people in a different form.
Absolutely.
Well, congratulations to you, and
Thank you.
I mean, it's another great spot, the Abbey Grill, and Andy's there on a regular basis. I think every time I've been there, I've seen you, and your chef's a dynamic and incredibly talented chef, so I'm glad that you guys have succeeded, and a lot more success to you in the coming years. So thank you for making the time to come
Thank you,
today.
Rick, for
Really
having
appreciate
me.
it.
Appreciate
Cheers
it.
again.
Cheers.
All right. So the girls are gonna help you slide out. I gotta be honest with you, I'm probably gonna be trying this dish after I get off, because that looks amazing. Thank you.
You want me to take that?
Yeah, Taylor will take that one right for you. All right, so amazing food, and now we went from Portuguese to Italian, and now we're going to go back to Portuguese, but in a whole different realm. And someone asked me why I labeled the topic Fall River Dining and Shopping. Well, my next guest is going to kind of add to that element so that you can see. I'm going to bring in Michael from Portugallian Marketplace and talk about this amazing marketplace and the things he does. So this is the shopping and the food side of it. And I'll bring Michael right in now, if we could. All right. So I gotta get, there he, and look at this, and he comes with multiple bottles of wine. You can tell that Michael knows me, right? Look at this.
So,
All right.
Get some
Whoa.
some Portuguese specialties here.
Beautiful.
Let's try to make
Thanks,
some room
Taylor.
here.
So I have to give a little preface to what I was saying earlier. Oh, so, all right. All right, Michael.
Yeah.
I got to give some preface, but first of all, thank you for joining me, buddy.
No,
Great to have
my
you.
pleasure. Thank you for having
So
me.
Michael and I worked together on the Fall River Tourism campaign with Mayor Carrera there. So I've known Michael for a little while now, and when we got first introduced, he invited me to come over and check out the marketplace. And I have to say, since the day that I checked out the marketplace, I've probably been back about a half dozen times or more. And one of the things that we first went into, and I was talking about how passionate I was about wine, is that he goes, well, if you're passionate about wine, you have to see this. Now, we're going to get into the whole history of them and the great location of things they are, but you have an amazing selection of wines. And we were talking before, it's how many SKUs or how many different varieties?
So at this moment, upwards of 500 Portuguese wine SKUs.
500 just
That's-
Portuguese.
Portuguese, correct. That's sort of our focus. You know, when we were covering all the regions of Portugal, and that includes also dessert wines from Portugal, which is a very popular category,
Yeah.
which is the ports and the Madeiras.
And ports is another big thing that I'm a huge fan of, so that's obviously there. But it takes up a whole section in the marketplace, and you guys host tastings on a regular basis, right?
That's correct. So Pretty regular, like every Saturday around the noonish hour, we'll have vendors or distributors in store sampling wines, and anything between 2 to 5 wines roughly. On occasion, we have wine seminars, which are very informative, very educational. They're great for folks who don't understand or know Portuguese varietals.
Right.
Oftentimes, you get winemakers coming through from Portugal. Some
Really?
personal friends of mine that have come and given these seminars, and it's super, super educational and informative. Great, a lot of fun. We put out a really great spread. You can find out about those on our website.
And that's something I definitely had. We're obviously very big into the wine here, and I have to say, when I first came in, Michael gave me the tour, and I got the personal knowledge, and I went home with a case of wine that day that you had handpicked all the bottles for me, and it was excellent. And again, from a shout-out perspective, Brian and oh my God, Philomena and Lauren, all good friends of mine that are out there, and they tell me that they're going to these tastings on a regular basis. So it's obviously people love them and enjoy them, and that's the educational point that's important, is that you have people that are coming in that don't know a lot about Portuguese, but have fallen in love just with their first visit of coming to join you guys.
That's correct, yeah. So, Portuguese wines are relatively unknown. The community knows them, but besides the community, it's sort of a really interesting wine region. Wine country, and now as of late, it's people are starting to understand the varietals. Like I said, these we have to educate the consumer.
Exactly.
Let them know about these outstanding values. That's one of the.
So before we get into tasting the wines, which I absolutely want to do, give us kind of a visual of the marketplace, because the marketplace has been around for one period of time, but you guys as a company and as an importer has been around for a different. So it's how many years for the importing side?
So we're celebrating this year 30 years of
Excellent.
business. So we started off as an importer, as you know, and at the time, 2-3 years into importing, we transitioned into retail, but it was always sort of a small corner store,
Yep.
so to speak. And then 7 years ago, we purchased the property that we're at. It's an old textile mill that we converted into this marketplace. So the feel of the place is this old textile mill that's been given sort of a new life.
Absolutely.
And so you have this sort of rustic brick, exposed beam ceiling with some beautiful merchandising, you walk into what looks like a sort of an outdoor market.
That's what I was just going to say. So you don't feel like you're in for lack of better terms, a grocery store. You don't have that feeling at all because of the way that you're set up and the openness and the airiness of
Right.
it. And you've, in talking to Andy before this about the Abbey Grill, so you've kind of done the same thing. You've taken a space and made this space your own and renovated the space even more, right?
That's correct.
So, and it's how many years for the marketplace now?
So 5 years, we'll celebrate 5 years this year.
So 30 years you're celebrating for the importing and 5 years for the marketplace.
That's correct, yeah.
So you guys have made an amazing thing there. And it's funny, as I got a compliment for you from a friend of mine at Dave's Marketplace, Ken,
Correct.
sent me this
Ken.
nice thing today, and he said, "Oh, I love Michael. You're having him on." He goes, "It makes me feel like I'm in the Azores when I go there."
Ken's a great guy.
Yeah, so
yeah.
he said he sent me a nice message, so I wanted to make sure that you knew that.
Thank you.
And they've got a great event coming up this weekend too, so we'll talk a little bit
Yeah.
about them. But tell us let's start with the wine, and then we'll get to the food. Tell us what you brought today.
So I brought something really unique, incredibly unique, and it's exclusive to Portugalia. This is a friend of mine who's producing this wine in the Azores. Now, the Azores is a very small wine-growing region.
Yeah.
And it's so unique. These vines grow in lava rock. So
Lava rock.
Yeah,
Love these stories.
Right. So by default, it's a very interesting wine. It's got sort of this
You
insane.
talk, I'll pour.
Yeah, it's got this sort of insane minerality and acidity, and also some salinity from all the salinity that's in the air. And as you can tell by the color of it, it's really, really unique. It's 100% Verdelho.
100% say it again.
Verdelho
Verdelho.
is the varietal, and it's something. It's
It's got
substantial.
this beautiful like straw color to it.
Correct, and it's got some nice viscosity and a very long finish. Cheers. And this would pair very nicely with the canned fish you see here, because of the oils and the omega-3s in here.
So let's go back and forth if you don't mind, because it seems like we can do that based on some of these wines. That is absolutely amazing.
And this spends a little time in oak as well.
Really?
Yeah. Some very little oak aging, but it's
And it's and to give some descriptions, because I like to do this. It's soft. It's got a soft texture to it, but it's absolutely terrific. So talk about what you brought here today, because this is something that's kind of taken off and become big again.
that's correct. So it used to be your grandfather's fare. He'd pack it in his lunchbox, but today with canned fish and tin fish, as many people are referring to it, it's getting a lot of play on in publications, food publications.
Yeah.
There are restaurants serving it in Boston. We supply a few restaurants that serve only canned fish along with wines. But it's a very, very interesting, food. We have a very long tradition in Portugal of canning fish, hundreds of years, and so we're probably the best at doing this. And here we have 3 examples of this. We have jack mackerels, which are baby mackerels,
Okay.
which are delicious, and you'd eat the whole thing on these. You don't have to sort of sift through the bones, or anything, because everything's become sort of tenderized. It's marinated in the oils. Here is something we're really known for is the tuna, and the tuna is caught in the Azores. It's these skipjack tunas that are
Skipjack.
yeah, incredible tuna. And then here we have, of course, the sardine, which is, again, a Portuguese staple. Sardine is just, in this case, you have a skinless, boneless, so it's for the lazy man sardine.
Okay. That's for me.
Yeah. And then here you have some sides that would sprinkle nicely on here, some sea salt or some house pickled onions that we do and store that sell out like crazy. And this is the Portuguese pimenta moída, which is our crushed relish.
Beautiful. Now, all of this is stuff that's available in the market.
The market, yeah.
Okay.
So if you go to Portugal today, you'll see specialty food shops with walls of canned fish, all different kinds, and we've brought a lot of that into the market. So we have many lines, many different kinds
Of the tin fish as well.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm showing you 3 of maybe 100, or
Really?
Yeah, close to at least 100 cans at this moment.
And you're saying that, and it's funny because when Michael and I were talking before the show and going back and forth, and like I said, he's a great guy. This is something I saw this literally probably the day that I spoke to you. All of a sudden, I'm seeing this online and seeing these reviews about tin fish and coming in. And the Portuguese one was saying, what you just said, is that they've probably done it the best because they've been doing it for so long.
That's correct.
So the product and the style and how it's coming in, and someone, there was a comment in one of the articles about the freshness or the quality, and every single comment below it was 100% great, 100% amazing.
Yeah.
It's like there was no question that the quality wasn't
No,
there
it's
for it.
like I said, we have such a deep heritage of canning fish, and and some of the packaging is interesting as well. They do use a lot of vintage packaging. A lot of the
Okay.
vintage packaging is being
Which is what this is. I mean, that's
correct.
beautiful right there.
So that's the same package that Minerva's used for, I don't know, possibly since 1942. So
Now, talking about fish, kind of a quick segue, is that you got this room that was amazing to me to come see at Portugalia, and it was cod and other kinds of fish in there, right?
correct, mostly cod. It's a salt cod room.
Salted cod room.
Right. So we designed the salt cod room because in our previous business, we had really built a core following for salt cod with the Portuguese folks. We had customers traveling in from Connecticut, New Hampshire, you name it, New Jersey, to purchase our salt cod because we have this long-lasting relationship with our supplier, and we pride ourselves on having the best salt cod. So when we designed the space, we wanted to create this space that was sort of paying homage to salt cod. We wanted to let the base know, who had supported us for all those years, that we were still in the cod business. We hadn't deviated
Excellent.
from the cod business. So it was very important to make that sort of bold statement by having this room that's odor controlled, although you can still smell it.
Yeah.
Temperature controlled, which keeps and preserves the fish longer. Although the fish doesn't require much preserving because
Right.
it's
Salted.
salted fish. But that's sort of it gets constantly shared on social media.
I was just going to say that, is that there are so many people that when I've been there, is they make it a focal point for pictures.
Yeah.
They're taking pictures in the salted cod room as they're shopping,
Yeah.
or they're with their grandparents, and it seems to be one of those nice generational things that's passed on to people to really
Correct.
enjoying it.
Yeah.
To-
No, it tells people, the non-Portuguese people, that we're serious about our salt cod. Salt cod is our national dish.
Right.
You can go to Portugal and you can eat at the local corner Tasca, which is the little tavern on the corner, and they serve salt cod. And you can go to the finest of restaurants and they serve salt cod, and everything in between. So, you see in various interpretations of salt cod. But the classic dishes, it's just a fish that's so versatile,
Right.
and it lends itself well to many different preparations.
So what is this here then?
And that's
There we go.
a segue. So this is bacalhau, gomes de sal, which is a very iconic Portuguese dish, probably the most iconic bacalhau dishes. And it's
That's amazing.
scalloped potatoes with salt cod, with onions, parsley, garlic, swimming in olive oil,
Oh my
baked
God.
off. It's simply delicious.
It looks amazing. It looks absolutely amazing. So I want to get into, we're going to taste another wine, so we'll
Sure.
go to which one next, but I want to get into a little bit about how in the marketplace, there's more than just food. You've got things that you're importing from Portugal all over the place of
That's
different
correct.
varieties. So give us an example of some of the other things that you can find in the marketplace. And then I also want to make sure that we touch upon the fact that you've set up this e-commerce that I saw, right?
That's correct.
All right, so let's talk about a little bit about what some of the other things are that you carry, because it's a one-stop shopping from a Portuguese standpoint to
Right,
come
right.
in.
So at the market, we're selling a variety of things, like you mentioned. So we're very interested in the culture of Portugal and selling the culture of Portugal. So with that comes, pottery, for example. I like to,
Okay.
and these are two examples of some of the pottery we sell. These are the products I love to source in Portugal. Go meet these families who have been doing, pottery for 3-4 generations, and placing orders with them. It just feels really good to be able to do that.
And support them, yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and it's just nice to show off some of these handcrafts and some of the skills that are sort of, slowly dying off, but we kind of give them some new life. We have things like textiles, rugs.
Right?
There's a lot of groceries, as you can see, and the market consists of about 75% Portuguese specialty items.
I went home with Portuguese cheese.
That's correct. Oh,
When I
yeah,
was,
cheeses.
yeah,
So cheeses,
yeah.
we have a wide array of cheeses from the Azores, which are very popular, the sharp cheeses,
Yeah, mine was
to
amazing.
the sheep cheese from Serra de Estela, which is sort of very pungent raw milk cheese that's sort of knock your socks off.
If you're a culinary person or a foodie type person like I am, this is the type of thing you're going to love when you go in there, because you can spend a lot of time there. You're going to go home with a lot of great things.
Yeah.
Now, going back to the e-commerce side of things, and let's see, what's the next one we're going to try? Because I
So
don't
we're
know.
going to try this dome, which is from a producer who's very well known for producing ports, Dirk Newport, and I'm a big fan of his wines. And this happens to be a table wine of his. But this is a really nice red, and you can drink red with salt cod, because salt cod is substantial
Brings that
enough
out, yeah.
that you can have a red like this.
So, and I got to tell you, anytime you got these guys in town, I'm happy to bring them in
Yeah.
and talk to them here. I'd
Yeah.
love to highlight them and talk to them.
Yeah.
So let's go to the e-commerce just a little bit, because that was kind of a transition and a great thing for you, that the stuff that's now available that you're sourcing and importing, you've got on the e-commerce site.
That's correct. Yeah, so that's we had to jump into the e-com space. We had so much request when we first opened up the market. We had folks traveling in from various parts, visiting family in the area, and they kept requesting that our goods. So we just simply needed to be online. So we started off with maybe 100 products. I think we're somewhere around 250 products currently
Really?
online.
Wow.
And all different categories, from the tinned fish that does very, very well online, to olive oils, to the cheeses, to the cured meats that we didn't discuss. So chorizo and marcella and salpicon, all that stuff is being shipped all over the country. So now we're just a click it away.
So, and that's interesting, because it's obviously the way things are going, with a lot of
Mhm.
people wanting to be able to do that, and like you mentioned, a lot of people that aren't in the area that would like to. Have you noticed this trend? And we mentioned in the beginning about the wines, whether you're educating people and stuff. Have you noticed this trend of educating the public as a whole? Because you're drawing, just like everybody else I've spoken to, you're drawing from a large area of tourism, so to speak,
That's
that
correct.
comes into Fall River.
Yeah, so we do. We have a lot of inquisitive people. A lot of people come into the market, don't understand Portuguese food. We have an opportunity with some of my people, to educate these folks and let them know about our specialties. So we do spend time with customers, sort of conveying the message, selling Portugal is what I'd like to say. So it's we do the wine educational seminars.
Right.
We've discussed potentially doing other things in the future, possibly cooking demos and
Oh,
things like that.
excellent.
We do various other events. We do a chocolate festival
Nice.
that's taking place the weekend prior to Valentine's Day, then on February 10th.
February 10th, okay. Yeah.
So in that event, we'll have demonstrations. We'll have a couple of chocolatiers in store selling their chocolates. We'll also have Courtney Silva, who was a Food Network contender, or a
Excellent.
competitor on one of those what do you call it, cupcake shows. So and we have live entertainment along with 2 or 3 people tasting wines.
All on that day.
All on that day. So this happens between 11 to 2.
So you just started that 11 to 2, February 10th.
Yep.
So 4 days before Valentine's, you could get saved. You could
Absolutely.
literally get saved with what you need to buy for Valentine's
Absolutely,
Day.
and it always goes over really big. It's a big draw. People really enjoy it. It's very lively and spirited, and it's a lot of what happens on a Saturday. If you come into the marketplace on a Saturday, it's electric.
Yeah, it's a lively environment. I've been to a couple of the events and the tastings and stuff, and it is. You draw a great crowd, a lot of people that are inquisitive and wanting to learn more about it. So we've covered a lot of great history. We've covered a lot of the products they have. This event, this is fantastic. The e-commerce, the wines, and I got to tell you, that's an amazing thing. Just of 500 Portuguese wines to be able to choose from in one location is fantastic. And I don't. What's the last thing here?
So this is an olive oil. You know, so just an example of some of the products we sell from a very small producer, a farm in the north of Portugal. We prefer to work with small producers,
Yep.
family-owned farms, and this is they're award-winning olive oils. They have 3 in their line, and one better than the next.
So before I let you go, just from a standpoint of education, from a sourcing perspective, you have your family and you have a nice background. And are you traveling on a frequent basis with your connections to try to source these things? And like, as you said, you're coming up with new things on a regular basis, but they're all authentic products.
Correct. Yeah, so I do get to Portugal at least 2 times a year, some cases 3. This past year was 2. But I have a trip planned probably within the month. I may be going to Portugal. There's a trade show that I often attend where I can meet with a lot of my existing suppliers and look for new product as well. And then I also like to, when I'm there, take some time and go into the countryside and try to find
Unique items.
Exactly, gems.
Wonderful.
So that's a lot of fun, and I do try to, like I said, get there on a pretty frequent basis. So I'm connected and I feel what's happening because Portugal is very dynamic at the
Yeah.
moment. There's a lot of interesting, there's a lot of new, there's a lot of interest in Portugal.
Well, I'm sure they're very appreciative of the things that you're doing for them, and so are the people back here in the States. So thank you very much, Michael. I appreciate
My
making the
pleasure.
time today. Really great to see you.
Thank you.
He's got a beautiful family and his great things over there,
Thank
so
you
he's a
very
good
much.
guy.
Thanks.
All right, so I'm going to slide this out. Those tin fishes look amazing. Here you go, Christina. Let's go have it. There we go. Thank you, Taylor. So, if you haven't been to Portugal Marketplace, you're definitely missing out. It's worth the trip of just alone going to that on the weekend to check it out. And Michael, like I said, him and his team are phenomenal at educating you. My last guest, I'd like to bring in Chef Chris from Mesa 21. And look at this. Hey, Chef.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good.
My God, you guys are all making me beyond hungry today.
Yeah.
Look at this.
That's
Thanks
the
for
point,
coming
right?
in today.
That's
Yes,
the point of
that's
it,
right.
isn't
That's
it?
the point. So before we get to what these dishes are, because it'll kind of lead into that segue of it, is Mesa 21. How long has it been around now?
Oh, Mesa's been around for about almost 10, 11 years now.
So it's been around for a long
Yes,
time.
yes.
But you guys had a similar situation to Sagres where you had to shut down for a little bit, right?
Yeah, we in 2010 we had a fire. Started outside. Unfortunately, it took care of the entire top of the building. So as far as that went, it was a total loss. So
Thanks.
unfortunately, from 2010, I moved on to a different restaurant and was able to help them out. And the boys were gracious enough to come back and ask me to see if I'd come back and work for them. And I absolutely said, yeah, 100%.
Now, you're touching coming in, and that's thank God that they brought you back, because you're touching coming in, all the feedback that I keep getting, this wonderful feedback,
Thank
is
you.
about Mesa 21, is about how you have traditions, you have the Portuguese
Absolutely,
traditions that you
yes.
honor, but you're very kind of eclectic in that term, right?
Yeah, we try to stay open to new trends. Try to set our own trends using product of Portuguese food, but just turning them into a new light. And in one of the dishes that's here.
So let's talk about that. Let's go.
The egg roll here. It was a concept. I was just, in all honesty, I was just messing around in the kitchen. And
The best things come out there.
yeah,
right?
yeah, and we decided to do a little bit of ground chorizo within the egg roll, and we threw some cheese in it and made basically a ground chorizo sandwich inside of a fried egg roll.
You're kidding me.
No.
So this is the tradition inside.
That is the tradition inside.
And this
with
is the eclectic on the
yes, with the
outside.
eclectic on the outside,
I love
absolutely.
that.
It's just one of those things that, working for the guys, Danny and Pete, they allow me to do sort of things that I think are gonna be fun. Moving forward with fun food, I think, is more satisfying to a lot of chefs,
Yeah.
rather than always being very I mean, you have to be diligent and militant, but you also have to have a little bit of fun and passion with your food.
I agree 100%. And it seems like, and I know we're going to get to these two dishes because they're making me drool as well, but it seems like, too, from the perspective of your being a chef and being talented, like you said, having fun, is that you're catering to your demographic because you're still keeping the tradition alive for
Absolutely.
your traditional people, but you're also helping that younger demographic almost feel a way to have more connected to it.
Yeah, and it was a little odd in the beginning for me because I've have worked in different restaurants. I've worked here in Providence, you know, multitude of other restaurants. It was seeing the amount of older families coming in and just eating the Portuguese food, which I completely understand. That's you know that's what you grow up on.
Right.
So of course you're gonna go after it. But then it was we have these 20-somethings now that are in the city that are looking for food that's gonna be sort of Providence style, sort of New York, a little bit of Boston. So in that mindset, you know, the boys are allowing me to kind of make my own way.
So he's referencing the boys. We're going to talk about this. This is Peter
And Danny
Peter
Souza.
Danny.
Sorry,
The owners, Peter
yes.
and Danny, who are great, and I appreciate them, you know, making you available to come down here. So we want to give them a shout out.
Yes, absolutely.
And again, congratulations to you as well. Let's talk about the other two dishes you brought.
This is a dish that we created for the wintertime. It's a little more hearty. It is a local stuffed sole with a seafood and crab stuffing. I did a little spaghetti vegetable, just lightly sauteed in olive oil.
Beautiful.
And the olive oil happens to come from Mike.
Nice, for Portugal.
Yes,
Nice connection there, see?
absolutely. We also like to try to stay local. We use a lot of Portugalia products. We use a lot of, you know, native Fall New Bedford seafood.
Yeah, when I was speaking to you the other day, you were headed to one of the
Yeah,
seafood markets.
yeah, I
or
was
something,
going
right?
to Kyla's Catch, absolutely. I've always felt it's to be a chef, you should use local. I mean, it helps your economy. It makes the people that are buying your food and selling you food to come into your restaurant. It's one of those.
Yeah, we've talked about on many
things,
segments,
yeah.
sourcing locally, how it's important, and it's helping not just the economy, but the people that live in your community.
Yes, absolutely.
And we're going to segue to community side because I definitely want to bring up something about you guys for that. So let's talk about this last dish.
The last dish is a flatbread pizza. It's called our 21. It is prosciutto. It is goat cheese, a little bit of caramelized onions, mozzarella, and I didn't put it on today because it might have bled a little bit. We use fresh house-made balsamic vinaigrette.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
So it's one of those. It's an odd restaurant to say that I'm a Portuguese restaurant that has a brick oven in it.
So that's exactly where I want to go with it. So you've got a brick oven. And
Yes.
how many of these types of things are you producing these pizzas at?
We have about a half a dozen, maybe a little more signature pizzas, and then we have a spot on our menu where you can create your own.
That's unbelievable.
And one of the other fun things that we do, and I actually haven't seen it, is we have a build your own salad menu.
Really?
Yes, I have seen people make $40 salads.
That's crazy.
Yes.
And that's amazing at the same time because I would love that. But going back to that eclectic Portuguese menu, you started with the egg roll, but then going to the flatbreads and pizzas.
Yes.
To be able to have that, again, you're bringing it full swing for people there.
Yeah, we're trying my menu. The menu changes about three times a year. So as we're moving from the winter, I'm gonna start lightening up the menu. Some of these might come off. I believe the egg roll is gonna stay. This hearty winter dish will probably go. The flatbreads will change, but we'll keep the ones that sell the best.
And I want to kind of go back to something you said earlier about sourcing and the community. Is that one of the biggest comments I got about is how community-minded you guys are.
Yes, we try to be. I mean, I think the community around you are the people that support you. The boys have always felt like that. They do a lot for the boys club. We do a lot of events for families in need through other companies of retired police officers that they know that they come in. We'll throw an event and 90% of the proceeds go to right back to the
To
community.
whatever the cause is. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and that also ties into, I think, again, all of you guys that I brought in today have this nice tourism angle that you're drawing, because it is Massachusetts,
Yes.
technically it is
Yeah.
another state, believe it or not, but draw into this thing where you've got Rhode Island communities, other people that are coming in to see you, but we talked about this and joked around about it, before you came on air, is that it's almost like that Cheers effect that you have there, right?
Yes, absolutely. Even before, probably more so before the restaurant burnt down. A dozen guys could be, or anybody could be in the restaurant. The door opens at least 2 to 3 people know the person walking
That's
through
walking in the door, right?
Even now, we've gained more repeat customers and people that have become a lot friendlier with the restaurant. So you'll see a multitude of different kind of people all day long.
Right. So, Mesa 21, you got to look this up. You got to check it out. You showcased how they have this eclectic mix there, and especially from the pizzas, because I'm gonna be honest, both of these things would be of great interest for me.
Great.
But you guys, your beverage program is important to you. You've got a great
Oh,
wine
absolutely.
list. You've got
We
great
do.
cocktails.
I didn't bring any wine today.
That's okay.
I'm not a big wine guy, but our beer selection is really good. Our wine selection is also it's getting to be even better than it's been in the past.
Well,
So
Chef, congratulations to you and to the boys, to the guys.
Yeah, yeah.
And again, I'm really glad that you made the trip to come down, because this is kind of the, an interesting mix of everyone that we've had in for the day. Is that to go from traditional Portuguese to Italian to back to a marketplace, and then to have this mix. And I think that this mix, again, for the generation coming up today is really important, because it keeps us involved in loving the things that we like about Portuguese food, but still have some fun and unique flair to it.
Yes.
So, but Chef, thank you for making it in today. In closing, I just want to say Fall River, again, great destination, close to so many Rhode Island communities. There's a lot that's happened there. The mayor there's done a great job. These restaurants are all still in their own right. Even the oldest, Sagres, are still in their own right, up and coming. So thank you for joining me today on The Taste. I'm Rick Simone. I'll be back on tomorrow covering A Guide to Forever, our wedding segment that we do. I've got some great guests joining me for that. This weekend, I've got a lot of good things that you'll see me following up on. I'm going to be at Zuma's Wine Dinner. They have this general manager special wine dinner every year, sometimes twice a year, because Armando likes to do it. But I'm going to be with Armando Friday night over there at Zuma. Then this coming weekend, I hope to be interviewing some great celebrity chefs at the Sun Wine Fest that we spoke about a week ago. So you'll see me Friday and Saturday on social media covering those great things. And I got to give another shout out to Ken. I spoke to him earlier, Dave's Marketplace. They got a great Rhode Island tradition, Rhode Island things coming in this weekend, so check them out. But thank you again for joining me on The Taste. I'm Rick Simone.